I crawled out of my little cave in my snuggie just to tell you that there's 3 things in this world that will never change. War, shitty printers, and the terrible movie that was FNAF 2. Yeah, you're guessing right. I watched the movie again. My friend sat me down, spanked me in my butt, and told me that I'm going to go to that little movie with him, and I did. And my opinion has not changed. I still don't like it. It's just, there's a lot of practical things I don't like about it, and that's not what I want to point out today. I just wanted to let you know that I went through torture again, and this may seem like milking content, but yes, if I had to suffer, then you have to listen to my suffering. Anyways, I saw this video by a man named Redish, which you should go check out. It seems like he does have a few other videos that are pretty good, but he recently came out with a video called Toxic Positivity Ruined the FNAF 2 movie. I don't think it ruined FNAF 2. I truly don't. It's definitely an issue, but there were bad reviews and critics before the audience reviews. It didn't entirely ruin the movie. They were in the positive by far. Anyways, he goes into, which as he labels it, toxic positivity. It's, I feel like, a perfect encapsulation of the issue I've been seeing as well, which is fans who get very rowdy and upset and critical when it comes to anyone really criticizing the movie, which I hate that shit. I'm gonna say straight up, I hate that. I think it's a terrible thing and needs to change immediately. There's no one and nothing on this planet that is above criticism. Just that, like, flat as that. There's no other statement that is more true than that. No one and no thing is above criticism. And criticism doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be insulting. It just has to be, hey, you could do better on this, and this is what I liked. It's, you can balance it. You can. Because for a creator to grow, you have to generally have both. You have to look at your projects and the creations you've made and say, oh, this is what I could have done better, but this is also what people liked. How do I build on that? You know, it seems to be there's a lot of toxic positivity from that, and also this idea that it's just made for the fans, which makes it a good movie. And the reason why that is because the movie has a lot of references and Easter eggs that I don't mind that's in there. I generally don't mind. It would actually be kind of annoying if they didn't go by the FNAF 2 movie when it comes to like lore and all that. However, there's still terrible writing and there's still terrible directing, so it doesn't feel like it's really better. Anyways, the reason why fans are bringing this up is because they think that there's bad writing or bad directing, or that isn't at all. However, the references prove that this is made just for the fans, which I'm just gonna say, bullshit. I call fibs on that. That's nothing. That has no meaning to that. And the reason why I believe that is because for how much they've been trying to get their name out, like sponsoring Fanta or Popeyes. There's no problems with a movie trying to advertise themselves. There's no problem with that. I'm not saying there's a problem with that. What I do have an issue with is fans kind of disregarding that, saying that it's still just for the fans, which I doubt they would be sponsoring something like that if it's just for the fans. Anyways, and by the way, no movie on this level is going to be just for the fans. That's $30 million they spent. They were banking on normal people watching it too, and hopefully enjoying it. However, something that I think is very crucial and really bad, Redish here points out a clip that I didn't even know existed, and I think is kind of a detriment and probably one of the big reasons to the project, if this still stands up, is still true, is Scott Cawthon saying himself that the fans' responses and opinions are way more important than any critic.
That if the critics had loved it, but the fan base was grumbling and saying, wait, this isn't how it is in the lore, wait, we didn't like this, I don't like how they did this and this, and the fan base was unhappy, that would be a failure to me.
Which there's no issue with that. Or at least I think there is a little issue because they're different perspectives. Critics can kind of give you a non-biased opinion and look on everything, whereas fans can give you, response based off of the franchise you've already made and the love of the crafts you've already made. Both, I think, are important, and I don't think it's good to disregard or ignore either. However, in this case, for how many fans I've been seeing say that, like, this movie's good because I like FNAF, or I've been a fan of FNAF forever and these references are amazing, or just glazing references or Easter eggs, or just that they have a FNAF 2 movie, I think is bad. I think it's bad to just give it blind positivity just for the promise of a third movie. I think is bad because you can do both. You can, as a fan, look at a project and say, I really like this. I'm glad this is here. This is what I would have liked to see do better. This is what I would have liked to see in general. And this is what I liked. You can do that. You can give it a 5-star. You could 5-star it all day and then give that list of criticism. However, I am going to side with Redish partially and say that it's a very big issue that, fans have been doing this. I do not think it has ruined the movie though. Critics gave it a bad review before it even came to the public. And I think that kind of proves that it already wasn't great. And I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it. I thought it was meh. It didn't do anything special. I can't remember if I gave it 4, but after watching the movie again, 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, somewhere around there, maybe a 4.5. Still seems a little harsh, but a little real. 5 to me is mid. That's mid to me. And it feels a little less than mid. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. However, when I watched the movie, I watched it with a friend, and he pointed out something that I think is really interesting and that I noticed, but I didn't really say myself, is that the movie has multiple points where it's almost like, here's a cool idea, here's a cool concept. Oh, we have to write around this. Like Chica murdering the teacher, she like squishes his head. A pretty cool scene right at the end, but the build up to it is so slow and kind of just ridiculous. And there's a bunch of other scenes where it's fine until there's no explanation to it. And it feels like Purple Guy, Michael Afton, is in here just to be in here. I feel like motives are now swept under the rug. The murderer who seems to, from the games be obsessed with, the afterlife, and then obviously having connection with dreams and having that be his ultimate goal. And that's kind of proved after he stabs his own daughter, Vanessa, at the end of the first movie. Now, in this movie, he's about family, all right? He turns to Vin Diesel and now is crying about how Vanessa, she's part of the family. She will always be his. And it just seems really weird. There's also no conflict between Vanessa and Mike besides the one they just yap about, even though that there's not. Like at the end of the movie, he screams about how he doesn't trust her, even though she's only really proved that he's on his side. There's stuff that she could have said, but generally she's never tried to attack him or deliberately sabotage him. So it just feels like imaginary conflict. Anyways, I saw Redish's video on it. I want to give my 2 cents on it. Most of it was a review of it, so if you want a funny little recap of the movie, you can go watch it there. And he also does tackle toxic positivity, which I feel like is kind of becoming a big detriment in this series. And it's been happening for a while, where even with the games, fans have been kind of just glazing it just so they can keep having more, which you can support a franchise. However, you can also give a good criticism. You can give good criticism by just saying, hey, this is what I really liked about the movie. This is what you did great. Like, in my opinion, the sound was a lot better. The sound, in my opinion, was 10 times better than the first movie. I really did enjoy it. However, there's stuff that I also really didn't like the writing and directing. I feel like the directing has been more of an obvious issue in this movie, and I think it's because of a mix of a more complex writing. And when I say more complex, I don't mean it's more, you have to think more about it. It seems like there's more, and because of that, there's more plot holes. My opinion, what I think happened is Scott Cawthon looking at his entire writing and his story, and he knows that fans are going to be upset if they don't see everything for FNAF 2. So he's just cramming this amalgamation of bullshit into the movie of references and Easter eggs to please all the fans without a lot of them having explanation. And it really is aggravating. And the horror about it technically is more. There is more horror. There is more scary scenes. It's still not scary. Even for 13-year-olds, I don't believe this is scary at all, which is fine. Like I said, a lot of the story or a lot of the games have been built upon the lore, as well as the cool concept of being so entrapped into your own little security cage and trying to protect yourself from the outside world. That's kind of like the main gist of that. However, another thing that's built the entire story is lore, story, writing. I started to get this opinion after FNAF 6. I believed that the writing of FNAF isn't good. It is the community building it, and the collection of community caring and building their own writing in between, interweaving the story to make it good. And I feel like these movies have proved, to, at least to me, without a doubt, that that is exactly the case. That is what's happening, is the writing isn't good, and there's a lot of holes, and it feels rushed or not thought thoroughly enough. And it's just sad, because for a movie, it's a lot more important. You know, it's not like a video game where you can have so much fun with it and have, you know, the entire game be good and then have an okay story that no one really cares about. The movies, it's very different. Again, don't get me wrong. There's movies where it's really cool action or CGI or effects, and the story itself is meh. However, the writing, I feel like, is a lot more important than just a video game, and it feels like it's getting the same amount of care as the FNAF games, and it's just not good. I can't. It's hard to pretend that I do like it. I hate that I can't like the series or I can't like these movies, is because for how much of a fan I am, it's hard. It is hard to like these movies, and I think it is only a detriment to lie and say it's good just to get more, because God Cawthon, as he directly quotes, and that I found in Redish's video, he cherishes and values fans' reviews infinitely more than any critic, which I give my 2 cents on it. I think both is important. However, as a fan, I feel like it's also important to give your honest take about it, because it only helps the creator. It only helps the creator to criticize or critique something. You can give something 5 stars and have something you don't like about it. That can't happen. You can't say, amazing movie, this is exactly for me. This is what I would have liked to see have more care into it, or to just be better, or have more, exploration into it. Anyways, I want to make this. I saw this video. I thought it was interesting. He's a small channel, so please go support him, subscribe to him, check him out. There's a few other videos that I haven't really looked into much. I just saw this one and thought it was really interesting. Anyways, see ya. Don't die.